Hi, I'm Jess from Cold Spring Farm, and I'm going to be like, pow. This is just the beginning of a very large property that homes lots of animals. We have cows and pigs and sheep and goats and chickens and ducks and turkeys and peacocks and geese and guinea hens, dogs, cats, and kids. In total, there are about 1,000 animals here on the farm on any given day, every day of the year. And we also grow lots of produce, vegetables, herbs, flowers, and fruits. We do everything beyond organically, which means there are no chemicals, pesticides, herbicides, or any of that other yucky stuff on this farm ever. We make our own compost. We know how to get dirty. We get a lot of work done here. And we welcome you to come anytime with your family. Grew up right here in East Haddam, and I knew that this was the place I wanted to come back to make a difference. I really wanted to feed our community, and we work really hard at doing that every day as a year-round farm. And we just love it. That's the main reason we do everything, is because we really love what we do. And that's what matters most in life. Choose something you love and run with it. I hope you all do that. We started a CSA program years back because it was our effort to feed the community in a unique and different way. We've always done an honor system farm stand, and we also have food that everybody wants to eat. So we grow so many different things that it's helpful for our CSA program to be designed so people get to choose what they want instead of the stuff they don't want to eat. So if you don't know what a rutabaga is and you don't know what to do with it, you don't have to have it. And you don't have to have mountains of kale every day. Don't tell your parents I said that. So our vision, our goal for the farm, as it is every day since we started, is to grow more food, to feed more people, to reach more people, to have more kids coming to this place and loving it, to get hands-on, to be outside, to work in the soil, to work with animals, and to grow more farmers. We have puppies because puppies are amazing! They're super white and fluffy and cute, and they're actually here to protect the sheep. So they're called livestock guardian dogs. And we have 2 of them because they do better as a pair. They keep each other company, they keep people happy, they keep the sheep safe wherever they roam in all of the pastures here on the farm. We started Healthy Farm Food Delivery because we wanted people to have access to our food even if they couldn't get out of their houses. In our goal to feed everyone as often as possible and as affordably as possible, we wanted to make sure that there was a way to access it without having to come to our farm stand, which is also available as an option. Some people are sick, some people couldn't get out, some people have medical restrictions, some people live farther away, and it's not part of their daily routine to come out to a farm, but we wanted to make sure they could still be fed. And so the Healthy Farm Food Delivery actually was launched just before this COVID pandemic began, and the intention is to reach as many people as possible in the time where there is the greatest need. All right, so I grew up in East Haddam, right where I'm standing now. I moved away for a while, but I came back because I really loved my childhood outdoors. I had gardens from a very early age. I was walking, talking, and potty trained when I was 9 months old. And I was out exploring nature from that day that I began to walk. And so I find that farming is an excuse to be in nature. I love to be outside. I am a tomboy at heart, and there is nothing better than getting into the soil and working to feel grounded and connected to our food source. And that's what makes this purposeful, not just my sanity, but the fact that I can do this work and feed so many people from all over. I can feed my community, literally. And so I felt very strongly as a kid that the best gift I could bring back to my community from my years of college and exploring was to come back and build it here, where I can feed my own community who helped raise me. And so that is why we do it. That is why I love to do it. That is why I never burn out on the idea that I have an endless list of things to do that will never fully be accomplished. That is like the greatest gift of my entire life. And I'm happy to serve the community in that way. One of my very favorite things about farming, about this agricultural life that we live, is the fact that I can be working in this soil, which we produced with the help of all of our animals and the plants and everything else in nature that comes together to make growing soil possible. My focus has always been on soil microbiology, the way the organisms interact in the soil, the way they look under a microscope, how you can tell like the good bacteria from the bad bacteria and the things that they need to feed to make the good stuff thrive, to make the products that we grow and sell really viable to feed a lot of people. So soil is my focus, and truthfully, our soil is actually the product we sell. We are soil farmers. Our plants and the crops that they produce that feed the community are actually just a byproduct of what we actually grow, which is soil. So that's why I call us soil farmers, because we are focused on soil health, and everything else is the reward for that work. And so we like to share that in many ways as we possibly can. As I said before, I went to the East Haddam Elementary School. I went through the school system at Hale Ray. I actually was fortunate to be able to be part of the vocational agriculture program at Nathan Hale Ray High School. I took all of the classes that were offered. I did 5 independent studies on top of that because I was so passionate about learning about food and the world around me and how to do this in a sustainable way someday. Because again, I knew when I was 7, and so my plan never changed. What changed was my knowledge, because I was constantly learning with that focus in mind of having a farm someday. So as a high school kid, I applied to a lot of colleges. I applied for a lot of scholarships. I was the first person in my entire family to ever actually go to college for every single generation back. And I knew I wasn't doing it based on income. So I worked really hard at my application process, about lining up the education I wanted, because believe it or not, it wasn't cool to farm at the time and nobody could understand why I wanted to do it. So I had to design my own education. And so I ended up coming out of college with 5 degrees. One of them was in sustainable agriculture. Another is in natural resource management, environmental studies, education, and therapeutic recreation. And I have to say that I learned a lot in college. It bought me a lot of time to plan for my future as a farmer, to be smart about business, to think carefully about what I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do, and how this farm could potentially be my endeavor until I literally die, until I become compost. So, so with that said, I really enjoyed my time in college, but all the while I was anxious to get started with my farm business. And I knew that it had to be a business to be successful as a farm, because so many weren't working. When I was growing up, again, it wasn't cool. Nobody knew why I wanted to do it, and it totally makes sense because people weren't making a living farming. They weren't focused on how to do it successfully, or what they were doing wasn't working. And it also takes the fact that we need to have community members that support what we do. And the culture wasn't here when I was a kid. It was not the culture. And I knew that if I came back here to farm, that I would have to actually build that culture. And hi. So building the culture has been the work of my life. And so I moved back to East Haddam again to be part of a community that helped raise me. And I was very fortunate in finding the right land after sorting out lots of different things over a long period of time, working here, owning this, leasing that, to try to find the main place where all of my farming endeavors could actually be possible. And so several years back, this became a rental for us, and ultimately we purchased the property, making us the second owners in hundreds of years. And it's all now preserved, and it will never be anything but a farm. And that is super exciting to me, because this is my passion. And this is where I spend most of my time. And this is where we invite other people to come and share a space that will forever be a farm.
It's melting.
My voice is no.
I heard it. Don't cry.
No, I'm good. No, it always gets me, because it's just that's
so
what
magical.
I do.
That's so powerful. That is awesome.
Yeah, I was just thinking about passion and about the importance of pursuing something that you're passionate about, even when people tell you can't be done. That's powerful too for people.
It is.
So many people just don't even bother. Someone says you can't do it and they just walk away. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
You know?
Why it's unusual or even unique to the area.
Right, in other words, because now there's actually farmers around.
Right.
Like there weren't any when I started. There were absolutely no farmers.
Yeah.
It was just me.
Right.
You know, and then look where I live, like, right, as an example. I'm like kind of in the middle of nowhere. Like, I'm off the beaten path. How do you get people to come out when you're off the beaten path? You literally have to build a culture and make them want to come. Right?
Yeah.
So that's pretty insane.
Yeah.
That alone. Because everyone's like, no, you're too out of the way. You have to be on the main road, and you see all these roadside stands, and it's like, no, there's other ways. Because I had to be away from it all. I could never live on a main road.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it's really important to be passionate about the work you do in life, because the majority of your hours are going to be spent doing that thing, whatever it is. If your gig is the office job and that's what you really want, then that's where you should spend your time. If your deal is that you love to be outside and you want to be near water and you don't want to live on the main road like me, then you need to build a life around those goals, because every single day we put the hours in here. Every single day of my life is a day of work. The catch is that I actually love what I do, so it doesn't feel like work. And that's really the secret to living a happy life. So part of my passion in agriculture is educating the community, educating the people that work with us, educating other people who are aspiring to be farmers, why this work is so important and why it is so crucial to our present and our future. This work is really fairly endless, and I'm excited when I say that. I'm not disappointed in that fact. I love that there is endless work to do, if I haven't made that clear already. But what's really important is to attract younger people to pursue this endeavor. The average age of a farmer is 55 years old. And most people do it out of retirement because they enjoy being outside, just like I do, but they wait to do their farming. And that is perfectly lovely. But we also need young people to take the torch and carry it, because eventually I'm going to get pretty old. And I'm still going to work, and I'm still going to bring people on, and I hope also to inspire more people every day to do this work, to pick up the pitchfork, to pick up the shovel, to plant the seed, because it matters more than anything else I could possibly do. All right, stop for a second. Woo, okay.
You can hear it, you can clear your voice too if you want.
It's still in my face. No.
I know, I'm getting it.
It's
I'm
all
a
right.
good camera guy.
No. Yeah. He's like so casual. He's like, I'm going to block my voice out, but we're going to hear yours. We're going to hear those tears rolling down your face. No. I got you. Okay. So with that said, inspiring people who are looking to farm is something that requires patience. I think the work speaks for itself. It's constant, it's grueling at times, it's physical, but that's also what makes it amazing, because we get to literally be outside. We set our own schedules. Sometimes the animals set the schedules for us. Sometimes there are immediate needs, and sometimes there are things that can be put on a normal schedule. But often, we are always often caught by surprise at random things that occur at the last minute, the drop of a hat. I have friends and neighbors who have come to help me gather the cows who have escaped from their fencing and are halfway down the road or pasturing in another one of our hay fields that's supposed to be cut the next day. We've run through the woods, through barbed wire, through field fencing, through water, through the spaces between houses to collect some of our animals at times. Sometimes in the darkness with headlamps, the police officer knocking on our door telling us that the cows are out. So there's never really a dull moment, and just when you think things are getting quiet, you know better. Something is coming around the corner at any time. And that's also what makes it exciting. No matter how tired we are, the work still continues. Things are happening while we sleep. But the good news is that we literally go to bed every night exhausted. We pass right out. We do not have any sleeping issues in this house. And it's because of the work that we do and the drive that we have to pursue it. And we hope that we can instill that that same kind of passion, that same kind of energy into other people that will hopefully carry the torch someday and continue, because the success of our farm is actually based on the number of farmers it can produce. Not just the food that we produce, which is amazing, which I'm so grateful for, that I think we're able to feed so many people in normal times and not so normal times. But I think the fact that we can inspire people to work on this farm, to think about doing their own endeavors, even if they're homesteading, to get more people on the land and connected with the earth, is one of the biggest environmental impacts we can make. And hopefully we're showing them how to do it in a responsible way. Some of the challenges that face small farmers, all farmers, beyond weather, beyond everyday stuff, beyond the challenges of working constantly crazy hours and staying healthy, the stuff that we do for our sanity, the stuff we don't have time to do for our sanity sometimes, how that balance is found is one of our challenges, right? The weather's the challenge, but in general, what makes it all worth it, all of the challenges that we face as farmers on those levels is worth it because we have supporters, because they are constantly supporting the work that we do. And the truth is, it's not always constant, and it's not year-round for a lot of people. We have a lot of other challenges. There's sacrifices that are made with family, with events that are happening off-site the farm, off of this property. There's 300 acres, there's lots of busyness, there's ways to get lost in your work. But there's also times where we just can't leave because we can't leave, because we have animals to feed, because that family picnic or that social event was scheduled at a time when we're supposed to be doing chores. When we can't leave because we have to fix fencing, because we lost something, because we have to grow something, because we have to feed people. There's a timeline for everything in nature, and we don't have control over that timeline. But again, what makes it worth it is that our work is rewarded by the fact that people are coming and supporting the endeavor that we're doing. And again, we love the work, the pure enjoyment alone of doing this kind of work, which is hard and trying at times, makes it worthwhile. It is like the hardest work there is, with the most diverse skill set required on this planet, especially if you're going to make a living doing it. And so as a result, we need your support. All farmers need your support, no matter what kind of farmer they are. Without it, they can't make it happen. They can't continue to live this lifestyle. They can't continue to stay healthy. They can't continue to feed their families. And so it's really important that in our economy, not just on the local level, but as a whole, that we're supporting the work of farmers so that these challenges aren't the things that they need to face, that they're always going to struggle with the family events and the social outings and the things that they just can't do because it just doesn't fit in with lots of people who have to understand to make that possible. The social circle shrinks a little because you are then defined in social relationships by who understands the work that you do and the way that you do it and the need for it and the call that is there for it. But in addition, the support has to be there so that the farmer who feeds the community doesn't have to worry about how to feed their own family. Good. That is like way too poignant right now. Can you believe they're dumping milk, burying animals, just killing them? It's fucking real and sick. And they have no choice.
What, because they're big companies or?
Because they can't process, they can't get the food out, they can't, like people aren't buying it, like all the sales, whatever, like they're not set up sustainably. That's the truth. They're just not set up sustainably. So these big farms are struggling because they are trying to get their product out to people who aren't buying. But yet all over the country, people are taking food. They're buying shit tons of it, right? As fast as they can. For a while, it was almost hoarding. People bought all the freezers you could possibly buy. And these farmers are burying their animals in the ground because they can't get them processed or because the buyer they normally have set up isn't buying. So, because they're a store that was closed or a restaurant that wasn't open due to this situation. So, there's a lot of reasons why it's happening, and they're not sustainable reasons. It tells you what's wrong with our food economy, right? Our food economy is our local economy. And so it really is important that people pay attention to that and keep their dollars as close to home as possible. There wouldn't be a need for these big places, these big, unsustainable, not so natural farms and operations if the buyer didn't support it. Every dollar is a vote. I've always taken it upon myself to be responsible for the culture that I want to build in this community. And clearly over time, that culture has grown to involve other communities close by. And I think in some ways, communities across the state, because social media, internet, Technology in general has made it possible to reach more people from more places and get the message across. So whether it's an interview with NPR, or it's like a news article that's being published in the local paper, or like, you know, someone wants to write a review and they have a need for a product that they want to promote for the farm. There's opportunities everywhere to get the message across. The question is, are people listening? Are people looking for that information? Do they care enough to pick up the newspaper, to listen to the radio, to connect with the farmer or the person and ask about their food and where it came from and how it was grown? And in reality, like, build the relationship that requires trust. It has to be a trusting relationship. It needs to be a handshake deal. It can't be these paper contracts that the whole world is running on. I understand business for sure. So I understand where the paper is required, but there is a trust that has to be built between the consumer and the farmer, and making sure that the farmer is able to produce what the consumer needs. And there are so many variables in the economy, in that relationship, in the access for the food to get to the person it needs to get to, and the quantity that it needs to get to at the time of year when it's important. I think a lot of farmers fall off the wagon in the wintertime because they're not growing necessarily. And I think that is super important to note. A lot of farmers aren't making money in the winter. Their only income is the summer that gets them through the winter because they're producing food that is vital. And what happens is, when we create habits, it takes many, many times to create a habit of practicing over and over and over again. So buying at the farmer's market every week is really awesome to have that consistency. But when that 18 to 20 week season ends, that's the end of the season. That's the end of the support for farms and farmers and farm families. And it's fascinating to me because I think literally farmers are forgotten. From the fall to the winter to the spring, until that gap is bridged, farmers will never make a living doing it well and doing it right and getting the food to the community. But the community members also need a reliable source of food year round and don't have any idea how much can be produced all year round. There is food. If you need something that can't be grown, maybe we shouldn't be eating it. Maybe we should just wait until the season arrives when it's available. But it is absolutely mind-blowing how much can be grown throughout a year. So if we actually commit ourselves to seasonal eating, farmers will survive the winters. They will not have to worry about paying the bills. They will not have to worry about feeding their families. They can actually supply everyone that needs supply. And if we can produce more farmers doing this, then we can build that relationship of trust that's absolutely required on a year-round standpoint, and also create the pattern and the habit of shopping year-round. Food is year-round. You need it every day of the year to survive. We all know this. This is like basic stuff. But what we don't know is how we can get it all year round. And so one of the things that this farm does and is committed to doing, me personally standing behind that statement, is that we are going to keep promoting local farms, buy surplus if there is any, get it to our customers, because we've developed a base of customers that some of these other farmers just don't have. So we have done that in a number of ways. We do grow a lot. We have tons of diversity, but what we started to do is align our purchasing with practices we agree with. And so we have maple syrup and honey. We have coffee from a local roaster. We have, all our own meats and produce. We just had someone deliver, local products that they hand sewn, masks for the COVID situation, potato bags, all kinds of cool things that are in the stand right on our farm that's open year round every day of the week when nothing else is for farms. And so you would think, because this is available as a resource year round, that it would be supported, but it's still not fully in our culture to support farms year round. And that's the piece that's really missing, that this farm is focused on doing. And so looking for ways to support other farms so that they can pay their bills in the winter time is really crucial to what we do, and really crucial to the future success of almost every farm in this area that needs that support. It also is important because when farmers or young people who are aspiring to be farmers and have this dreamy idea in their head about what it's going to be like, they're not necessarily thinking about the realities of the business and how that has to be managed to actually be successful in the endeavor. We all like to play outside all day, right? We all like to do this stuff. And truthfully, it's not play, it's real work. But if you really enjoy it, how can you make a business of it? How can you make a living doing this so you can dedicate yourself to producing food for people? And when does the time come when consumers value it so much that they're willing to pay what it actually costs to produce it? And that's the culture that we need to build on a year-round basis. So it's bridging that gap that we want to help people do. And it's absolutely crucial to the future of farming and the future of a local economy. When a farmer spends money that it's earned by, that the farmers have earned by making, you know, maybe it's farmers market, they're making sales at the market and they've got cash in their pocket to spend, but they need supplies, they need tractor parts, they need lumber to build a project or fix a barn, they need animal feed, they need other things. And they don't have time to travel. We do not have time to go all over the place to find these things. And everyone likes to click the button on the internet and like have Amazon deliver something instantly, but that does not support our local economy. What we really need to do is learn how to dedicate our dollars locally. We need to make sure that the products are available at the local level. And if not, find a way for them to be available. Go to that business owner and say, I need this product. Can you order it for me? Can you carry this? Because it's a need. If we are able to make our consumers more aware of what is available at the local level, we would not be having these issues in our economy right now. People would already be focused on local spending, and farmers would be appreciated and supported, and there would be more of them to deal with this pandemic. So with all that said, my goal is to create access for those people to have a place to sell their stuff, for young people to know that they can connect with us to sell their product as they begin to get on their feet, because they need a consistent income stream, and it's not going to be that paycheck that comes from office work that's going to come every week no matter what you do. And I don't mean it to be negative. What I mean is that it's not a consistent paycheck. There are variables, there are highs and lows, and it's throughout the year. And we need to bridge the gap, and we need to make sure that farmers can count on a baseline. Because if they don't have a baseline to work with, they can't be successful in business. And they need to be in business to be farmers at these days. Modern day has changed everything. So to be a farmer, again, diverse skill set. You have to know how to do all this cool outdoor stuff and the stuff that is required in the office. One of the questions I get a lot from our customers receiving healthy farm food deliveries, or CSA members or farm stand customers who have become dedicated to shopping during the year, who live in the local area, is how can we possibly do all this? How can we keep a product all winter long available for sale? Well, the truth is we can't keep everything that way, but we try. We try to keep as much as possible available during the year. We have a lot of planning and plotting and scheduling and growing to do throughout the year, and we do that in a number of ways. So behind me, you'll see that there is a garden we call our demo garden, and it's actually right at the entrance of the driveway up on the right as you pull up to the farm stand. And we just planted this. We're not even fully done. There are seeds in the ground. There are plants from our greenhouse that are getting established, setting roots right now as I speak, capturing all the sunlight to produce photosynthesis to make all this magic happen. And that's valuable because the sun is out. It looks like a nice warm day. The foliage is on the trees. It's spring going slowly, eking slowly into summer, right? And so yeah, summer is the prime time. It's the main season for growing food. And we know this. Everybody knows this now. Everyone is well educated on the fact that you can get fresh produce in the summertime. But there are 3 other seasons in the year. And so how is this possible? Well, one thing we do on this farm is successional planting. And so even though there's a lot of cool stuff behind me growing right now, that is not the last thing that will grow. That is not the last thing I will harvest from that space before winter hits. That garden will get planted 4 times before winter even starts, before the cool weather starts in. And so with that said, we can harvest throughout the season to support our markets, but we can also harvest to produce things like canned goods that we put in our farm stand, like heirloom tomato sauce, like cucumbers that we take and make pickles of all different kinds of flavors, even the weird stuff, right? Beans, so we can make our dilly beans. We make an heirloom Bloody Mary mix. We do pickled beets. We pickle cabbage. We do all kinds of things to literally put food up for the winter. And we do a lot of it. We have whole crews that will come in, and whether they're working for food and they get to take some jars home, or they're helping on the farm because they're staff, or because we just have a late night and we want to make the best of it, we are all canning like crazy during the main season food up. So we welcome you to this beautiful 300-acre farm. We have events all year long. We invite schools and school groups. We have all kinds of families on the farm-based events where you get direct contact with our animals and our people and our lifestyle. So we welcome you anytime on this year-round farm. I'm Jess Stone from Cold Spring Farm, the place where food and nature grow together.